All right, we are live. Be back in a second. Hello, I am Dr. Sherry, and I am so excited to be here to give you all another show that we call The Private Life. Okay, so you all know by now that I am private. I'm what you call a private American. Let me get my screen straight. I am what it's called. I am what is called a private American. Why can't I talk today? I know why I can't talk today because there's been so much going on in this world. Oh my goodness, you guys. If you go to my social media, you'll see that I had to take a step back for a minute. I literally just got overwhelmed. I got overwhelmed with life. And I'm not just saying just the everyday daily chores you have to get through and answer mail and phone calls. And I'm not even talking about that. I haven't put that in the equation. I'm talking about all this other stuff. It has been September and October has been something. Okay. And so many of you know that I actually used to live in Sarasota. I actually worked at Siesta Key. And to see the devastation to that area and what could have been more devastation. Listen, I want to call this broadcast that we're doing today prayers and property, but we're going to talk about something else. But I want to call it prayers and property because it's been all about property. And you all know I'm going to talk between the lines because we already understand how these social media platforms can be. So we are going to talk in code. But do know everything that has occurred has been about property. Okay. In my soul, in my heart, and in my spirit, I believe that none of this has come from our Creator. I don't believe that it has come from our Creator at all, not the Creator. Okay. I believe it was created, but not the Creator. All right. That's my own personal belief, and I'm going to let that rest here. But today, I know that it is the prayers of the righteous that has availeth much. I believe that the disasters, even though they have been enormous in several areas, I believe it could have been much, much worse. And I believe we were saved. Okay. It has been said that there are actually weather patterns out there that you can pull up yourself. It has been said that FEMA has not shown up the way that they should have, and that has been proven. Okay. It has been said and proven and recorded that everyday civilians are now going in and doing our own rescue, which it should be anyway. That's one thing about being private. You self-govern. Okay. We are really moving in position and doing what we're supposed to do anyway. We self-govern. When you're private, no one tells you what to do. You know what to do. We don't need permission. We don't need another authority to tell us what to do. We know what to do. We know how to begin to help each other. And many are moving in that space now of understanding. I don't need you to tell me that I need to go in and provide food and water and shelter for these people. Everybody move into action. So today, again, I called it prayers and property, but I want to talk about something else. And I want to talk about money. Okay. I want to talk about your debts. Okay. I want to focus in on this and I want to get your mind thinking in another area. So many of you know that when you become private, our debts, well, not just being private, period. Everyone's debts are already paid for. Everything is already taken care of. Everything is paid as soon as you put your signature on it. Okay. It's already paid. All right. So I want to talk about those that are kind of fearful of the court system and going to court. Never be afraid of the court system. Okay. Never be afraid of going to court. And I want to talk about those that have been sued by probably a credit card company, possibly a loan company, possibly any of those areas, whereas you have supposedly borrowed money, even though you didn't borrow it. They borrowed it from you, okay? But I want to talk to you about those areas where you have possibly borrowed money and then you didn't pay it back because you didn't have to pay it 2 times, okay? And they kind of fought back. So the reason I say I don't want you to be afraid of the court system, because it's really a blessing to be sued, and I'm going to tell you why. When they sue you, they are paying that filing fee. All right. So anytime you do a filing in a court system, you have to pay what's called a filing fee. Okay. So when the credit card, loans, whatever, when the companies, the corporations are suing you, they have paid the filing fee. All right. So now I want you to think about some of the rules that go along with what we call federal court. Okay. Federal court can, the case can be transferred to federal court if you meet a certain amount of criteria. One being that if it's $75,000 or more. So I don't care if they sue you for 3,000 or 5,000 or 10,000. Punitive damages can be $65,000. Okay, their egregious behavior, knowing that you have paid twice. So when you really begin to understand that whole fraud, and by the way, y'all know I do an orientation every Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so you have to get the link, which will be below. Just go to that. There it is right there. You know I have to do this. Okay, link.bio/I am Dr. Sherry. Go right there and you can register for the 6:30 p.m. Orientation, where I explain and I dig deep into this fraud and how the fraud occurs, and we give you receipts. Okay, so again, the corporations, they would have paid the filing fee. All right, so if you meet the criteria, one of the criteria is, not living in that jurisdictional area. Okay, or it being more than $75,000. Okay, so again, if it's $10,000 they're suing you for, then you add the $65,000 on for punitive damages and fraud. All right, and you roll that thing over into the federal court, and the transfer fee is probably no more than 50, at the max $100. I haven't even seen them that high. I've generally seen them anywhere between $50 and $75. Roll that thing right on over to the federal court. Okay, the federal court, this is where you're going to get judges that are a lot more fair, judges that have a lot more understanding of what has truly occurred with you being turned into a corporation at birth. Okay, a lot of them are well versed in it. I even heard some federal judges even quote from the book called The Fruit from the Poisonous Tree. And if you're in my school, we already covered that book, The Fruit from the Poisonous Tree. Okay, last week we covered the book They Own It All, including you. And our next book that's coming up is The Creatures from Jekyll Island. All right. So if you're not in my school, again, go to that link.bio/I am Dr. Sherry and join the school. You guys, it's $27 a month. It's cents every day. But the wealth of knowledge that you receive is unmeasurable. It is unmeasurable. Okay. So again, if you are sued, okay, I even accepted a filing of a loan company that sued me. I accepted. I lived in a whole nother state, and I accepted it because I wanted to roll that thing right over to federal court. And as of right now, I haven't heard from anybody. And I'm waiting for them to listen, transfer this thing, give me some information, and everybody has gone mute all of a sudden. But it's no worries, because I'm going to swing, because even that is a fraudulent stance that is being taken. You can't go mute on me. I have rolled this thing up to federal court. Now roll it up there. And all of a sudden, everybody, no court case, no dates, no, come in to pay the filing fee. Everybody's just going quiet. So what am I telling you to do? I'm telling you to take control of your stance. Take control of your life. Begin to live and work as a private American and begin to self-govern. Get in front of everything. Begin to understand, why don't you have to pay debts? I always say this. You have to understand and know who you are. You have to know who you are. When you know who you are, you'll know how to walk. You'll know how to facilitate your life. You'll begin to understand that once you were born, our Creator has given you unalienable rights that makes you dominant on the land. You are the one that rules the land. We are the ones that rule the land. We're not told from anybody or instructed from anyone, because we are the rules. Okay. And so in order to do that, you got to move into a position of changing your status, correcting your status. Okay. So again, that's another service that we help you with. You don't know anything about, how do I correct my status? How do I move from not having a voice, being seen as a piece of property, right? Because literally you're seen as a piece of property. You're literally seen as a ward of the court, as a child. Okay. Until you correct that, where they'll understand who you are and whose you are. All right. So again, I don't like to have these too long. I've been on here long enough, but again, today it was about prayer, because the prayers is what got us through. Now it's time to move in a place of rebuilding. It's about property, understanding all of this was about property. If you all know just a little bit of understanding about that Asheville, North Carolina area, you know that they are in a space that is very, very rich with lithium deposits. Okay. And lithium deposits is what, is the charging force for a lot of batteries and cell phones or what have you. And they were putting their foot down, not allowing the corporations to come in and take over. And all of a sudden, water went up the mountain. I know when I went to Asheville, took my family to Biltmore Estates, and that whole village area, we actually stayed in that village area that was flooded. But I remember us having to drive up that mountain, and one of my daughters was saying, "Oh, my ears are popping," because with the elevation, we had to go up. And all of a sudden, the water, we were almost to the, on top of on this mountain. All of a sudden, water has gone all the way up the mountain. No, it doesn't happen like that. Water is not even around that area. So just like has been seen in some of these pictures, all of a sudden, a dam, and that's all I'm going to say with that. You can find it, on TikTok or what have you. Just look up the dam, okay, and kind of see what happens. But anyway, you guys, I'm going to end this live here. No comments? Oh, let me see. I'm in the wrong spot. I do. Hey, free game. How are you? Let's see what's going on. Elsa, hi, Dr. Sherry. Peace and love. You are so right. Unity. Yes, yes, yes. Great book. Yes, we've had some great books that we have discussed. That's for sure. And then Free Game says, thanks, Dr. Sherry. You are so welcome. All right, you guys, real soon, I'm going to start bringing guests on top of this platform. I just got to figure out what link, because I thought I put the link in to do it, but we're going to figure that out so we can start having some people join me on the platform and start giving some of their advice. Okay. All right. Let's see. Can you tell me more about the committees? Yes. In our school, we are breaking people down, groups down into different committees. So we have one that's dealing with home and mortgages, and you all don't know, but I have finished my classes that I have been in to learn how to teach private Americans how not to have to pay a mortgage or property tax. There's a process you have to go through that. Now, there's a process too if you are a United States citizen, but they are encouraging us not to show that process, because a lot of times United States citizens, they don't know how to go into their de facto courts and defend themselves. Okay. And it's a lot easier when you are already private. So in our school, we're breaking everybody down into committees. So we got the home committee, we got the automobile committee, we got the child custody committee, we got the bill debts committee. So we got several committees, and we're going to start breaking people out into these different committees to actually start bringing in the documents, the research, the knowledge base, so people can now facilitate through through their life in those areas much more fluently. We're going to be in a position of putting actual step 1, step 2, step 3 positionings down. So anybody coming in, you would know what you need to do as far as your home and your mortgage. You would know what you need to do for your bills and your debts. You would know what you need to do to get an automobile and so on. If you got dealing with child support, you will know what you need to do to deal with that area. So we are organizing. All right. So only thing you need to do is just go to that link that I put in the school. That's why you have to join the school. Just go to that link and just put down your committees. And we're meeting on, let me get that date because I forgot it. I think it's the 20th, but let me just make sure. I think it's October 20th. Yes, it's October 20th at 4 p.m. All of the committees are going to meet, and then I'll give more instructions on how we're going to break out. Okay. Did I answer that free game? I think I did. Okay. All right. So with that being said, join me tonight, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly orientation. If you don't know what the heck that I'm talking about, then you need to be in the house tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And all of those recordings are already, and once again, in the school. So all of those recordings that I previously did are already in the school, along with the other recordings we've done. Our book club meetings are in the school. Our private citizen meetings are in the schools. Everybody's in the school. Okay. All right, you guys. Until next time. Bye-bye.